at this point, as the pandemic took hold, we saw communities try to adapt to new travel behavior during the pandemic. We saw drastic decreases in vehicle miles traveled as people stayed at home and most commutes simply stopped. In many areas, those VMT decreases could be over 80% from typical driving patterns. Even as communities are starting to reopen, we're still seeing those below normal levels. But we know that those changes aren't going to last forever, and at this point, communities and employers are thinking about how they can flatten the return to work vehicle curve, or flatten the return to work single occupant vehicle curve. And that's borrowing, of course, from the epidemiologists, but thinking about in the face of these pandemic challenges, people are going to be hesitant to return to some of their old commutes and are going to be more reliant, we expect, on personal driving. So there are some unknowns that are going to determine how that looks. That includes the rate of return to travel demand to normal levels, really the depth of those lingering concerns about health regarding public transit and carpool and vanpool use, and then also the reduced capacity of public transit. With the reluctance to travel on modes like transit and even carpool and vanpool, this is where telework is taking on a much more important role. Many employers have relied on it during the pandemic, but we're also seeing a recognition that that is going to be a much more viable solution into the future. And as we think about travel demand and the impact of vehicle miles traveled on greenhouse gas emissions, it's becoming more and more understood that telework is going to be an important part of mitigating that impact. For a new building being designed right now, I think there are really relevant questions to be asked about. Okay, what does parking capacity actually need to be, and if are there design strategies like providing more bicycle parking, for example, that would help mitigate that need?